Hello all. I feel like I should make up a name for all my peoples, like my, I feel like I should call you my little witchlings or something. If I will try to not say again, but I'm a little, what's the word I want to say right now? I might seem a little weird. I'm a little disassociative right now. Literally right before I came on to do this live, I got a text on my phone. So I have my old phone, which I only like surf the social medias on, and then I have my actual phone, which has like actual phone calls and text messages from people. And I got a message from my father saying that he's in the hospital again. Unfortunately, this is something that has happened ever since I was 15 years old. So 25 years of my dad, my grandfather, other, people in my family being in and out of the hospital for heart problems. But my dad said that he is fine. They took care of him. He should get released tomorrow. They gave him some medication. They just had to, hey babe, with my dad, they just had to like give him a shock or something because his heartbeat was like really high and off rhythm. But he's fine. It's a little triggering with my past of just dealing with these types of situations. So if I get like a blank look on my face, or if I stop talking much, it's probably because I'm distracted by that. And I will go into more videos about that in the future as well. I keep trying to figure out where the best place to put these frames are. This kind of looks good, doesn't it? Other than this thing over my head. So, yeah. I'll go into my history at some point in more depth of like my family and their health struggles and the stress that it has created and contributed to CPTSD, I think, for everyone to some degree. But I already had an agenda to talk about today, and it's not that I'm not concerned or don't care about my dad, but it's all the time. And my dad did go plant-based. He doesn't claim ethical veganism the same way I do and the same way my partner does, and that's another video to go into another time. But my dad does eat plant-based. He actually does no oil, he doesn't eat avocados, he doesn't eat nuts. So I'd like to say that this has helped him in his journey of health over time, but that's a whole other discussion. I'm gonna put one of my dogs away. I have both of them out right now, but they get a little wily and a little loud. So I have two dogs. Their names, I have a lab mix who's a rescue. His name is Zero. He's a black lab mix. And then I have Goji, who's a fawn pug, and she's just like the cat of dogs. But between the two of them, they're a year and 2 years old, and they're young dogs. Goji, come here. Come here. Come here. Who doesn't like pugs? Look at this face. Look at this pug face. Say hi, Goji. Goji, like the goji berry, the berry revered in Chinese medicine for its longevity properties. I don't know if anybody else is going to watch this live, or if people are just planning to watch it later. It will always repost. I feel like this camera right here is smudge. Yes. So yeah, originally I had said that I was going to do a video about like growing up in the goth scene and all of that, but then the current events of the last few days have been a little bit wild in the country, and while I'm waiting a few more minutes to see if anybody else is going to pop on, I will talk about some other things that I did today. Like, that's why I'm on at 10 instead of 9, because I ended up going out with my kid. I had a rough morning where my 4.5-year-old accidentally broke something of mine that had sentimental value. It was really not worth much at all in terms of monetary value, but it's something that I've had for like 15 years, and I just a whole nother video to go into, but I have hyperphantasia, really good memory. I have a lot of recall, and I think that contributes to my attachment to certain items. So I did get a little bit upset. We talked about it later though, and my kid seems to be fine, and I bought myself a replacement. But we went to go look to see if there was any Halloween stuff, Halloween themed stuff at any of the stores in the area, which, you know, Buffalo has a wide variety of places to shop, which is nice. But sometimes, like, people will say that they see stuff in the store that's Halloween related, and it's not there yet. So I stopped in not Hobby Lobby. I really try not to shop at Hobby Lobby anymore, but this is something I meant to mention the other day, and I did make a few comments. My first video, I had to make a correction. I said that I got C19 in 2019, but I actually got it in 2020. And then in my second video, I was talking about my heritage and DNA results, and I said North American when I meant North African. I have North African and Egyptian heritage genetics. So my father actually is dyslexic, diagnosed dyslexic. I can't even talk. Like, I will not be surprised if my daughter's dyslexic. I've seen her trying to write letters. She's really good at math, but she inverts her letters and reads them weird. She thinks a B is a P. Like, that's another video for us to go into sometime. But sometimes in my brain, I will say the wrong word because I'm thinking, you know, dates. I was really horrible with history because of that. So I always will try to correct if I say something wrong in my videos in the comments, and I'll try to go back and correct those things too. So I'll post some pictures, but I went to Home Goods today, which on this topic is going to tie into this video of the topic that we're talking about. But I did look it up, and it's interesting. Let me find the link. I had not heard of this, but you know, you can Google like who are LGBTQ friendly businesses, and Home Goods TJ Maxx came up. All right, you know, there's a website. Let me see if I can pull up the actual website if my tablet wants to agree with me. It's being a little difficult right now. Let's see if I can get my... The fun thing about having multiple social media accounts is you can just talk to yourself on your social media accounts. You can send stuff back and forth to yourself. So this website is called Choose Because. I had never heard of this. And it's really interesting. I guess you can look up things. It says choose because, by cause, about because. Let's see what they said. We believe that every informed individual has the tremendous power to help make the world a better place through every small decision taken every day. How? We help our users remain informed by giving them access to relevant information about the causes they care about and the brands they are about to shop from. We do it right when they need it. So we do it right when they need it so they can make better, more informed decisions. What? As you browse the web, the extension will flag any site product whose company behind it is not aligned with the cause you care about. That's cool. I haven't tried this yet, so I'm probably going to put this on one of my devices and try it. Once you know if a company is not aligned to a cause, you can decide whether they still deserve your business or whether you prefer to bring it elsewhere. We also want to make it easier for you to know where that elsewhere could be. This is a cool tool. Like the internet, social media, all of these things. There's so many cool things that people are coming out with. Obviously, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. But if I go back, this is when I had searched Home Goods. It's like Home Goods LGBTQ friendly, which I was pretty sure. I know Hobby Lobby, there's problematic things, and that's a whole nother video. Mostly it's religious topics, but because of the discrimination that people, or them wanting to enforce their religious views on their people and their employees, there's concern for the LGBT community in this regard. So with Home Goods, it says, does Home Goods have an LGBTQ inclusive culture? It says, Home Goods has shown sustained commitment to diversity through several initiatives like training for new hires and employees, executive performance tied to diversity goals, and policies that support an inclusive culture around gender identity and self-expression. Home Goods has employee groups and/or diversity councils within the company to support LGBTQ employees and has several programs around hiring, supplier selection, marketing, and philanthropy to support LGBTQ individuals, causes, and organizations. I like that. I don't think any business is perfect. I work at a place that sells meat. I don't like to eat meat. I don't like animals dying, but they also have to run a business. And things are changing. We do have a vegan grocery store in Buffalo. We can talk about that another time. But it's not exactly super close to me. I probably could patronize it more. I probably should, and I probably will. But time is freeing up now that my kid's going to school. So that's changing everything. I'll post pictures later. I got some cool stuff at Hobby Lobby. I keep saying Hobby Lobby. Dyslexia. Home Goods. I got some cool stuff at Home Goods today. I will post some of the pictures that there was so much Halloween stuff at Home Goods today. Oh my God. I'm sorry, Sam, if you watch this video, my best friend Sam, that I did not take you, because last year we went together. That's where the picture of us, where I compared it to the picture from The Craft. We look like the girls from The Craft. We went together. But I did buy a few things for myself. I tried to be discerning in what I bought. But I'll do another video another time. My whole kitchen is Halloween-ish themed year-round. Why does Halloween have to be one day? We can talk about that another time. Halloween's great. I only bought one of these because they were $6.99, but it's got skeletons on it. It's really cute. Love it. It's a big old plate. I stopped myself from buying another stack of plates because it was 20 bucks, and I don't know. I have a lot of dishes. Zero, you're about to go in your crate too. I bought these today. It's a pack of 4 pasta bowls. Super cute. They have a skeleton hand and flowers on them. It's very romantic off, which is kind of how part of my house is at the moment. I got some towels with bats. Super cute. These were $7 for 2 towels, which is not a bad price. Obviously, when it comes to businesses, there's a lot of other stuff we could talk about, and I do like to thrift when I can, but I don't always have time, and you're not always going to be able to find Halloween-specific stuff when you're out thrifting. Good luck with the way the world is today. Hi, Zero. Can you guys see this dog? You can. You can't see much over here. Here's Zero. Hi, Zero. He says hi. Y'all stink. Why do you smell so bad? Ugh. Dogs. Okay. Now what I was going to talk about in this video that sidetracked me from the other video that I was going to do. So a couple days ago, was it yesterday? Yeah. I get on Facebook and or Instagram, and I noticed that there's a story about a shop owner in California who was getting a lot of grief from the community, people in the community, not the whole community, because some and many people did support her, but a lot of grief over having an LGBTQ trans flag, the all everything flag, hanging outside their shop. So, unfortunately, according to this story, let me see if I can find the original one. This one was from the Times. It says, every time someone ripped down the Rainbow Pride flag from the Magpie clothing store in the San Bernardino Mountains in California, the store's owner, Lauri Ann Carleton, responded by putting up a bigger one. Pull it down. I'll put a bigger one up. Fine. So, I don't want to read their whole story, and, you know, I'm sure that's some type of internet plagiarism or whatever. It says that around 5 p.m. on Friday, she was fatally shot by a man who made disparaging remarks about the shop's pride flag, authorities said. Allegedly made. That's the gray area. How can, if people sat there and watched it in this country, alleged is it's all legality of the United States system. It's fun. So, the second story, which I just posted on my Facebook today, says that supposedly, the alleged shooter, homophobe, I guess we could say the alleged homophobe, ran and got into a shootout with the police and then was oft. Sorry, I'm trying to make this Facebook appropriate. I'll put a trigger warning when I repost it. But yeah, people exiting this world. So I don't even know where to start talking about this. This woman, Lauri Ann Carleton, they talk about her saying that she was active in the community. There's a post from Mountain Provisions Cooperative. This is from Instagram, and it says, did I say her name wrong? Lauri. I hope I'm saying it right. It says, she was a pillar in our community, an immovable force in her values for equality, love, and justice. If you knew her, you knew she loved hard, laughed often, and nurtured and protected those she cared about. She was a force. She loved to crack jokes and wanted to live as joyful as a life as possible. Her and her husband were pivotal in organizing the free store, which provided free food and samples for 4 months after the blizzard. When was this? I'm not sure the date on this post. This is posted on the NPR story that I reposted. It said she put her whole heart into keeping it going as long as they could, the 4-month free store. Pay an act of kindness forward in her honor. Our community needs as much love as we can get right now. So, boy, there's so much to talk about here. Like, when you live in more progressive areas like I've lived in just outside of Ann Arbor, Michigan. I've lived outside of Detroit. I lived in Flint for a while. That's something else we can go to at some point. I lived in Chicago. I just like to experience life and get out in the world. I live in Buffalo currently, and I hear conflicting stories sometimes about how LGBTQ friendly people think that Buffalo is, but I do hear that our parade here, which I was a part of, the Pride Parade this year in June, was one of the biggest turnouts we've ever had, and I did see lots and lots of people there. And before I was overtly out as part of the LGBTQ community, I remember, this must have been 2018 because I was pregnant with my daughter at the time, and I remember watching the parade from a business that I worked at on Elmwood Avenue in Buffalo, and I remember almost being in tears because of the experiences that I had growing up being part of this community. This is where my brain is at, like a little disassociative from just the stress and the thought of all of it. So, you know, the business that I work for now, after the Tops shooting incident in May of last year, had put up signs in our business windows saying Black Lives Matter and no place for hate with the LGBTQ flag colors on it. So this is, you know, I'm not going to speak on behalf of the business that I work for. I like my job. It's not perfect, and there's a lot of things that go into it at times that I'm not those people. There's a lot of people that work for the business, but there were people that were mad. There were people who, like I said in my video the other day about the Black Lives Matter, that came in and they were ranting. And the hard thing is when you go into a business and you're talking to the employees on the floor about those kind of things, like the views of the business and the story, the message that they're putting out, that's been decided by the greater majority of the business and the people that work there. I do support those things. That doesn't mean every single person who works for a business supports those things. And when you come in and you rant to an employee on the store or try to start an argument with just an employee on the store, like you really need to find something better to do with your life. Those people are just trying to do their job and pay their bills. So I'm pretty nice usually, and I will try to somewhat discuss those things if people want to talk, but it depends. It's the same as on the internet. If someone is going to argue with me and just not want to hear my point of view and just want to come in and complain about how they hate it, You can have those feelings. I don't have to talk to you. I can go do my job. So it's been a long journey. I've seen change. As I've said, I'm 40 years old. When I grew up in a very conservative town, and there are still plenty of very conservative places. We forget this when you live in a place that's more progressive. And even it's surprising that something would happen in California. I don't know the area where this happened. I don't know how the rest of the area is and how accepted LGBTQ people are. I can't speak on that. Hello, more people. So I can't speak to more of the issues in this town where this woman was flying her pride flag and where she ended up having a problem with people about it. I think we assume that California is just fully progressive everywhere, and it's a mix everywhere you go. I think this is why, when I said in my video the other day, someone had said to me, I don't know why people have to be so overt and tell all their business and put all their opinions on the internet. It's because there are still people that are being oppressed. And look at this. This woman was not even a part of the LGBTQ community, to her claim to what we're reading. She just really wanted to be a good ally and speak up for people. And being an ally, there's so many things we could say about it. It can be a really good thing, because there are people out there that don't have the voice to be able to speak. Like, I know there were times when I was a teenager living in a conservative area with a very conservative religious family. I couldn't publicly go out and speak about being LGBTQ. There are people, for example, I literally had this conversation with my therapist today. We were talking about the Italian stuff that I mentioned the other day, and acclimating to American culture and ego and trying to fit into a society and to, the thing that my parents' generation went through, the boomers, and why they are the way that they are. And one of the points of that is that there are some people who can't speak up for themselves because it's going to put them in a dangerous position. And one of the specific groups is trans people, of course. It seems to me, I'm not trans. I have plenty of friends, and I've had family members who identify as trans. I'm only speaking from my experience and not trying to speak for the trans community. This is my experience as someone who has friends and what they've said to me and trying to support them. So, an ally of the trans community. With what I've talked about on my page, the things I've posted, as I mentioned the other day, like femme positivity, my therapist agreed with me too in this sense today, that because of the conservative religious community in this country, because of the way it was founded, because of all of that stuff that we're getting out of from the 80s and the 90s, it's very patriarchal. And like, if you are a person who identifies more with masculine qualities, I feel this in the LGBTQ community, this has been my experience, if you go more to the side of masculine, even if you're a cis woman, it's not looked as badly on. Trust me, I still get flack for not falling into the traditional feminine roles and behaviors, but to be a cis man or a transgender person and to display feminine qualities or to come out as a trans woman is so, because of the patriarchy, it just appears to be so looked down upon. It's like society views masculine qualities as an elevation because it's in the patriarchal ladder, and it views feminine qualities as lesser, as in like you are what's the word I want to use? Like, it's like degrading, or it's, you're a traitor to the patriarchy. So some of this is the especially sensitive part of the LGBT community right now, and especially people of color. There's some of the worst rates of violence against these people. And I have had friends who are trans women that talk to me about how scary it is because they've been on the other side. They have been viewed by society as a man. That's the default that people see when you're assigned cis male gender. So it's very scary for them to make the switch and to, as they have told me, to be viewed as lesser in society and almost as a traitor. So this is why allies are important, because they have more privilege to speak and to be heard without the threat of violence. And it's like getting me worked up even talking about it right now, just for me, because of the experiences that I've had. So I wasn't planning to go into this discussion quite yet, but with the events that have gone on, like, I guess here we are. So, sorry, I'm popping a barrette right now. I'm stimming because I'm stressed. My experience, people ask me all the time, like, how did you know you were bisexual or that you weren't straight? And for me, it's not like I always thought I was straight and then switched teams. Like, you're almost assigned your sexuality too in the society. You're straight, like that's the default. And it's like I never really thought that. When I was younger, maybe it's more of being demisexual too, but I think a lot of people when they're younger maybe don't consider like the idea of, you know, sexual relationships or romantic relationships. And I just didn't think about it. I didn't care. Like, being demisexual, even now, but especially when I was younger, if I had no romantic interest in anyone, which I did not until I was about 16 or so, I didn't think about it. I didn't want them to touch me. I didn't want them to kiss me. Like, I remember having people try to kiss me and I was like, I'm not. And my first experiences were with other women that were, you know, my age. And to me, it didn't feel wrong, even though I grew up in a conservatively religious environment, and a lot of people in that religion did say that that was something that you're not supposed to do, and that you're going to hell and this and that. And like, I know a lot of people have the hang up that grew up in religion that like in the back of their mind, like they're so scared or that they're going to go to the bad place after they die. And I've come to peace with that it's like, I think I live my life being a good person. So if there really were a hell, which I don't believe in hell, I will joke about it. But I think that if there is some being out there that like I'm living my life the best that I can and making the best decisions I can and trying to keep other people in mind. So I don't think I'd go to hell. Sorry to all the straight cis people that are going to be mad that there's queers in heaven. If there is a heaven. Sorry, not my problem. So some of my worst experiences, I still have like CPTSD over this, and it's come up even in the last year. That like I've had really bad experiences at times, not as bad as some people's, but when I was in high school, I had a girl, I thought she was my girlfriend, maybe she was poly. It was an interesting situation, but I thought that this girl and I had an exclusive relationship, and we would go out and people would see us, and I'm not a person that hides anything. Maybe this is a neurospicy thing, but I have seen things that say that people who are neurodiverse tend to be more likely to be somewhere out on the LGBTQ scale. And I think that's because we don't seem to think that we have to apply societal rules that don't make sense to us. You know, like we will question why. I don't see why I have to do what you say I have to do, and I'm not going to do it. It's like the most neurospicy thing. So when I was in high school, I was like 16. This was actually, I think this might have been the first relationship I actually had, even though it only lasted for like maybe 2 weeks, because I did find out she was involved with someone else, to my surprise, and I ended it because I am not a poly person. That's something else we could talk about. But at this point, my intention is to start I am in a relationship. It's a monogamous thing to me. So people would ask me about it, and oh, I heard that you have a girlfriend, and no one in my school that I knew, in my small town school, was out. I didn't know any kids my age. People were just starting to have relationships, but like, I can't imagine being a man in my school, and definitely no one was out as trans. This was like, woo, like no one would talk about that back then, because I was in high school in the late 90s, graduated in the early 2000s. So I don't know anyone who was out, to be honest. And when I think about it, like, I'm not trying to like toot my own horn. I'm just saying I literally can't remember anybody else who was out in high school. And I was actually voted biggest rebel of my senior class. I was the girl, and there was another guy who was voted biggest rebel. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe there's other reasons, like the hair. I was known for having every different color of hair. But yeah, people would ask me, I heard you have a girlfriend. Oh, you're gay, you're this or whatever. And I was like, yeah. And what do you want to say about it? Like, move on. So I remember there was one guy who, 16, I must have been a sophomore. I was taking, because, you know, I'm gifted, I was in honors physics, which like all the kids were like juniors and seniors too. But there was this kid in my class who had a real problem with it and would just like talk smack to me and like was kind of rude and just like, like, oh, you lesbian, blah, 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 blah. And it's funny because it was like later, either that year or the next year, I wasn't even in school. I was at the mall walking around while I was dating a man who was not there. But this guy from school saw me, and he came and walked up to me just with his friends, and he's like, oh, you're that girl, you're that lesbian, you're that gay girl, and blah, 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 like talking all this smack. And I was passive aggressive and a little snotty. And so at the time, like, I might have handled this differently now, but I said to him, I said, you know, you have a lot to say about gay people. It's funny. Like, maybe you should take a look in the mirror or something. And this guy got livid with me and literally open hand smacked me in the face. So, you know, like, when we talk about violence against LGBTQ people, like, it happens. I have not experienced the worst of it, but I have been hit in the face by a pretty much grown man, like a late teenage years man. He had no problem hitting me in the face. And no one stopped him. No one, I think he just ended up leaving. I think we were out of we were out of class by then. We didn't share a class anymore, so I didn't have to see him. But, you know, it's crazy. And I remember the next year going to school and taking my second year of business accounting, and there was a kid who had been in my class the first year when I had been dating this girl, and the first day of class, the second year, the second class we took together, the first day when they're calling out everybody's names and checking us in, he gets up, walks to the front of the class, stands up there and points at me and says, I will not be in a class with that girl. And the teacher was like, fine, go. Like, you know, and I don't know what arrangement they made or whatever. I never saw that kid again. But literally, just me being in the class, it's not like I was doing anything. It's not like I'm in your face doing something inappropriate. Like, I'm literally just sitting in a class, trying to learn, existing, breathing, not even in a relationship with a woman anymore. You know, it's not because I switch sides. I like people. I have different things I like about different people. So I like to try different things. So yeah, that's the thing of like, sometimes you can't just exist without someone having a problem with you. And one of that guy's friends, also when I was in high school, walked up to me in the lunchroom, and he walked up to me and I was like, yeah, like I heard about you. Like, we don't want your kind around here. Like, we don't want, you know, we heard you're gay. Like, we don't want you here in our school. In the middle of the lunchroom, in front of everybody, and no one's doing anything. No teachers are doing anything. And I looked at him. Sorry, my phone is not, this one's not standing up so well. So I looked at him and, of course, snapped right back at him, too. And I said, what did he say? Oh, we don't want you here. So I said, that's not what your mom said last night. And he was like, KILLU, like, get out of my school. And like, I had to go talk to the principal and be like, this kid literally just told me he's going to off me. Now, I don't know if they ever talked to my father. I grew up in a single parent household. My mother passed when I was 8 years old. If they talked to my father, he never said anything to me. And it's just like, I don't even know. What do we say about all these interactions? Like, I don't think that the teachers knew how to deal with it, or the principal, or like, this was not normal stuff for them to be dealing with. And it just, I think they just dropped it. Like, it didn't happen. Like, okay, we're gonna split these kids up and then just not say anything about it. I don't know if they, like, nowadays I feel like that if that happened in a school, this would be like a big thing. Like, all, like, people would be talking about it, and like, I don't know, it would be so controversial. But it was just like, oh, you know, somebody's discriminating in our redneck town, like, another day. So, you know, yeah, I mean, those, to me, it's hard because having CPTSD, I downplay everything. So I'm like, oh, like, I have been physically assaulted. I have had threats on my life. Were they serious, or were they just kids talking and being dumb kids? Does it matter? Do you know how hard it is to be a teenager? Like, I'll go into another time, probably stress that I dealt with a teenager and the place my mental state was in, but it's like, kids don't need to hear this stuff. Adults don't want to hear it. Kids really don't want to hear it when you're living in a home with a stressful house life. So somehow I just moved on and did my own thing. And I haven't managed to have many relationships with women since then. And that's kind of how I was able to fly under the radar of my own family for so long. Like, I think some of my close family were very aware. I know for a fact they were very aware. But I didn't talk about it because I was scared that my conservative religious Catholic family was going to basically disown me, which they haven't. They also have not really talked to me about it, which is fine. If they don't want to talk to me about it, that's okay. But these things still exist and they still happen. So like I said, at my job, we've had the signs up that the Black Lives Matter, the No Place for Hate. For Pride Month, we had up flags and all types of LGBTQ stuff. People can put pronouns on their name tags if they want. And I, at first, not having many experience with trans people, didn't understand why I would put my pronouns on my name tag. And I've had people ask me that, but now I understand that, like, if the only people who put their pronouns on their name tag are trans people, then they are going to be outed as trans. They are going to be singled out because they are the only people. So for us to put our pronouns on our name tags, even if we are cis people, is to protect them and give them an environment where they can blend in and like just live their life and not be singled out and targeted. So we have had, as I think every business had, some customers who intentionally misgender people, who have asked people questions about their pronouns that are none of their business, who have asked invasive questions about people's bodies and things like that. And it's like, sometimes I don't think that they mean to be disrespectful. They are curious. But this is the thing, even if you have trans family and friends, don't just go to them and just ask them personal questions. There are lots and lots of resources online. I just reposted someone's video earlier on Instagram who is someone who is trans, who talks about a lot of trans topics. If you don't know, there's so many resources online. Go to the resources first, unless your friends and family bring it up to you and want to talk to you about it. And some of them may, if they feel safe with you. But one of the things they said in that video, if you have trans friends and family, don't out them. Don't say their dead name. Like, don't, you know, these people need to be safe. And as I said earlier, I think the most targeted demographic is people who were assigned masculine male gender at birth that become more feminine in the eyes of society. Like, it's just this hatred towards femininity that really needs to go out the window. And it's not just the straight community. Like, I could go into more detail, but like, for me, actually, when it comes to my orientation, like, even though I like people for who they are and I make exceptions, I generally like feminine aligned people in some way. Aesthetics, the way their brain works, the way their behavior is, like, it's just, to me, that's what I gravitate towards. I'm losing my train of thought because I don't get so worked up about this. But I had gone, when I first really came publicly out and was joining bisexual groups, lesbian groups, and getting on these groups and talking to people about it, like, everyone told me, a lot of people consider me femme in the lesbian community. There are certain terms that are used, like stud, and then there's STEM, which some people will call me STEM. It's like in between a stud and a femme. Like, I'm not, in their eyes, quite that feminine, but I still have long hair, I still wear makeup. But I have been told that femme for femme is one of the hardest relationships to find in the lesbian, bisexual community, at least, when it comes to cis women. Now, I have been involved with dated trans women. I've dated lots of, many cis men that I've dated have been called women by people accidentally, or had many feminine qualities. And when I finally heard the term fin romantic, it's like it clicked with me. Like, fin stands for feminine in nature. So it doesn't matter what the person's genitals are. It doesn't matter what they were assigned at birth. I am attracted to people who are feminine in nature, whether they consider themselves male, whether they consider themselves a woman, whether they consider themselves trans, non-binary, gender fluid. That is my orientation. And it's fin romantic because there's also fin sexual, but to me, being demisexual, I can appreciate people aesthetically. I can appreciate a masculine person and like a piece of artwork. But a lot of times I will see people and the masculine qualities aren't really the attracting thing to me. And a lot of times I'll see people that I think look aesthetically attractive, like a piece of art, and then they open their mouth and I'm just like immediately it all goes away, like not attracted to this person romantically at all. So I separate it: demisexual, fin romantic. I often use the term bisexual because it's like an umbrella term, and there's so much debate about what bisexual means to people. People will say bi means to. No, I'm sorry. There was no pansexual, as far as I know, when I was a teenager and in my 20s. Bisexual to us meant attracted to more than one gender. It does not mean attracted to, gay people of the opposite sex or gay people of the same sex and cis people of the opposite sex. No, that's not what it means. And my friends who are trans have voiced in on this, that their feeling is that the whole argument with the pansexual community that bisexuals are transphobic is ridiculous. Because if you're labeling people as trans, you're invalidating the fact that those people, if they want to label themselves as trans, that's fine. But if they want to label themselves as a woman, they are a woman, whether they're trans or not. So respect that. So to sit here and say that bisexuals are transphobic because we don't, somehow we exclude people as trans, it's the argument that I hear is that, like, if you're not part of the bisexual community, shut up and don't comment. Like, let us define ourselves. So I understand that, like, the roots of the name may make it sound a certain way, but that's not what we're claiming. No one that I know who's bisexual, and I have dated many bisexual people, been involved with bisexual men, women, non-binary individuals. Like, no one is claiming that we like only like this limited view of people. But as I said, it's an umbrella. There's other things. On the other side of fin romantic and fin sexual is minsexual, people who are attracted to masculinity, whatever the person's gender is, whatever their genitals, whatever their body. Minsexual, masculine in nature. These are terms that are newer. They didn't exist when I was younger. And I know people get heated about, like, why do we have to have all these terms and why do I have to learn them? They're like, you don't have to learn them if you don't want to. I'll tell you, as someone who was out of the dating scene for a very long time, it was really helpful to me when I started dating again to basically, like, I'll repost it, but I had this thing that someone posted that basically says, like, what is your gender, like what is your your orientation sexually, what is your expression, you know, because like what people define as like sex, gender, and gender expression are not all the same. You know, where do you fall on the scale of monogamous versus poly? And I'm like, God, I feel like if I had this card when I was younger and I could have just handed it out to people like I was dating and be like, look, does this align with you or not? Like, I could have saved myself so much trouble, because I know I've dated people who were poly, but maybe they were not quite comfortable with being out there with it, or they didn't know, or like, and it just caused so many problems for us because we didn't have the discussion and we didn't know how to explain it. So the terms help you to be able to get out there and explain to people like what your deal is. Like, I can say, if you read about fin romantic or you read about what demisexual is about, 2 words. I can put 2 words out there and explain to you a lot of information. And no one has to label anything if they don't want to, as I said earlier in my other video, but sometimes it helps to make your life easier. So, wow, like with my current job, we do get people that come in that don't like certain things, but it's, you know, we're all trying to share these spaces. Like retail is like, you're going to get all different types of people. And as I've said, you can't expect everyone else to change their lifestyle, their appearance, whatever, to appease to you, but we should all be respectful in our language and the way that we interact with people. That's a whole nother thing. Like, you can change the way you interact with people. You don't have to change yourself, but being respectful in a business type interaction is a whole nother thing. Eventually, I want to go into some more videos about neurodivergence and the social aspects of that. Not what I'm going to do tonight. So, yeah, I'm telling you, maybe people think I'm crazy. After the top shooting happened, I have voiced my opinion many times on wanting to have very clear signage about things in the store, like not leaving the back door unlocked if there's no one in the receiving area. We do finally have a sign on that door, thank goodness. And a lot of people don't understand why. And this is why I say, like, being overt, talking about things, getting people in on the discussion is important, because when people don't know what's going on and they don't understand the experiences of other people, they only see their experience. So they get upset because they're like, why do I have to change something in my life? It's not just, you're sharing a space with other people. And we have had, I mean, in Buffalo, there are issues with homelessness. There are issues with drugs. There are people walking the streets, you know. There are people that are homeless because of housing issues and the price of housing right now. And they're just family, the pandemic. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And like, we get customers sometimes that come in our lot that are wasted, drunk. There's bars on our street. Like, we get people that come in that are obviously on some kind of drugs or have some mental health issues. They just, like a week or so ago, I don't remember if it was Syracuse or Rochester, they had to evacuate an entire Wegmans because a man who they claim was mentally ill was walking through the store with a knife. We all have to do our part to help keep each other safe. And some of us have more risk than others. And there have been people who have come to my job who have specifically pointed out, you know, this one, I kind of laugh about this, but some kids walked by our store one day that were younger, like teenagers, and they walked by our store and they go, oh, that's the store where all the gay people work. And I laughed because I'm like, it is kind of true. A lot of queer people do work where I work. It wasn't like that when I started. And that can be a good thing, and it can make us a target. And we get people who come in there that call us, you know, and I'm not saying there's not racist people too, because the top shooting was directed specifically towards people of color. That man, from what I know, walked away from people who were white, who he perceived to not be people of color. And I know people who knew people that were in that store and the terror that they went through when that happened at that store. That is scary. And it's like, we can't control everything, but we can control little things like, just looking out for each other. We can do better about sharing our spaces and keeping each other safe and aware of things. And, we get people at my job that come in that are homophobic sometimes. Because, why? Because they're everywhere. It's not just my job. But they're threatening too. We've had people that have threatened violence on people. I don't want to specifically say what, but they will stand across the street from us because they know that no one can do anything, and they'll stare at us in the store. So you have to really listen to the stories of other people. And allies are important, and it's important as an ally to listen to other people's stories and to support them. It may not affect you specifically, but someone you love may be affected at some point. And you don't know everyone who's LGBTQ. Like, I've had people say to me negative things, like their perception is that I don't think LGBTQ people are very happy in relationships. And my answer to that was, that's because there are a lot of flamboyant out there people that are trying to build awareness of it and don't care what you think. But there are also people who are very quiet and mind their own business and don't want to be bothered. So they're happy. If you go on, okay, I'm going to shout out a page on Facebook, Have a Gay Day. They post stuff all the time about LGBTQ people who have been in relationships for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. They're so happy. They're fine. So, educate yourselves. Be an ally. Don't just look at things from your point of view, and don't assume because you're safe that everyone else is safe. And to be honest with this stuff that just happened, just because you are a cis hetero person doesn't mean you're safe either. So, we do appreciate people that are allies because obviously they're putting their own life on the line. And it's crazy that a flag can produce so much anger in people that they literally will take someone out of this world. That's just walk away from it. It's a freaking piece of fabric. If you don't like it, don't shop at the establishment. Why are you so enraged? Wow, that's a whole nother discussion to go into, and I'm sure many of my friends have had. I have lots and lots and lots of queer friends. I probably have way more queer friends than I have straight friends, and I have people who are my friends that people think are straight, and I don't think they're as straight as people think they are. They won't even admit that to me, but I'm not gonna out anyone. But we're everywhere. So y'all are gonna have to get used to it. We're not going away. We're not shutting up. Nothing's gonna change. In the scheme of things, that you're not gonna erase us. So we're gonna keep being loud until we get things. Just like I said, if I have to go off every day, get attacked by people, have people misunderstand me, so I can have a sign on the door at work that asks people to leave the door closed when it's not within viewing distance. If it saves my life or anyone else's life, I'm gonna keep saying it. So there's a lot of different ways to protest. There's a lot of different ways to get information out there, and do what you have the energy for. If anybody has questions or comments, I don't know if the comments for my Instagram videos will post in the comments, but I know on Facebook the comments were reposting in the replay. So this is a learning journey for me. But as I said to my therapist today, if you wait to do something until you think you're good at it or it's going to be perfect, you're never going to do anything. So thank you for everybody who listens. Thank you for everyone who watches. I'm sorry if anything was traumatizing or triggering to people. I will, in the description of the video, write TW so that people know that this is not really a video that you just want to pop into if you have any types of triggers like that. Hopefully my next video will be a little more uplifting. I don't know if I'll do one tomorrow or if it'll be next week. I do want to talk about my experience in the goth scene and all of that. There's a little bit of discrimination in that story too, but I think it's generally a very heartwarming, embracing story about community. So thanks for listening. Everybody have a great life, great day. You never know when some crazy, what do I want to say? Not just crazy, some unhappy person is gonna try to take you out of the world. So just keep living your best lives. Everybody have a great night. Thanks.